Good evening and very, very welcome here from Stockholm in Sweden. As promised, we are live this evening, and I'm joined by my good friend in Cape Town, Terry Martin. Terry, good evening.
Hi Theo, I'm well this side. Weather has been quite inclement for the day, but
Yeah,
good to hear you. Good to be
yeah,
with the listeners.
it's good to be here, and we are here for a very special reason. And but you've had a good day, Good Friday.
It's been fun. It's been
Yeah,
fun. I've got my granddaughter here in Gordons Bay.
yes,
They
I
leave
understand that.
here on Sunday, so
Yeah, that's lovely. It's always great to have family.
yep, just lapping up the last minutes of it.
Oh, yeah, especially this time of
Yep,
the year, it's rather
sure,
meaningful.
sure.
But talking about meaningful things for you, Terry, this was a meaningful week. You had a
Oh, very much
major,
so.
major
Yep.
milestone.
Yes. 42 years of marriage.
Wow.
It's been a good run. And looking forward to the rest, whatever's left.
Congratulations again.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's as much as that's a little bit longer than that I've known Terry. So we've been around as
Mm.
friends for over 4 decades as well. So thank you very, very much for those of you who took the time to join us here. It is a really, really special evening as we start off what is the fourth season of this project that we are launching from Stockholm. And the owner of this particular space, Allowed Learning Academy Worldwide, this is the organization, the nonprofit organization, the South African based, that provides vocational training in agriculture for young people. And Sven has been absolutely a gem in providing the kind of support for us to promote what we do, to affirm what we do, to advocate for what we do. So, Sven, if you are listening in, thank you very, very much once again for this very, very precious opportunity that you afford us. The project, of course, is aimed at providing support for young people in rural settings in South Africa. And Terry, what would you say? That's quite a gesture from Sven, right?
Oh, just great appreciation and admiration for his commitment to giving a guy like you a slot. Wow, Theo, that's huge for you. But I've not met Sven. I just met him on, on this digital platform
Yes.
a short while ago. But
Yeah.
Sven, this is just a great gesture on your part,
Yeah. Absolutely.
allowing us
It,
airtime. Yeah.
yeah, it's making a difference in many people's lives, and we've been at this project since 2019 when we launched in October of that year. So it's just over 5 years. I think over the last 2 years, the project's really taken off. If you're listening in and you've just stumbled on this particular broadcast, my name is Theophilus van Rensburg Lindzter. My colleague this evening and friend is Terrence Martin. We're sitting some 10, 11,000 kilometers apart. We do a lot of things together, and one of the things we do is use our knowledge and our skills and our time and our resources to advocate for vocational training in agriculture for young people, particularly in rural settings in South Africa. And so this evening, we're going to talk about a good number of things. But Terry, I wanted to just start off with you that I think we will sort of intermittently come through throughout this particular program. Um, both of us are in the educating or education space and have been for our entire lives, where we've had opportunity to impact young people. And is it your sense that when it comes to the ability to be thinking well in a world that is placing such a lot of strain on you, that this is becoming a major, major priority for young people, particularly?
I think it ought to be a major priority for young people
Right.
because, you know, the technological superhighway has allowed young people access. And so they are given to proxying their thinking, their source making, their sense making to proxies. In other words, to people and institutions outside of themselves to do all the thinking for them. So they aren't given instinctively to this issue of thinking well because thinking well is hard work,
Mm.
extremely hard work.
I would say that that would probably be the case in other parts of the world too. It's not really particularly in the South African context, but so we, generally speaking, that would be the case even there. I would. Well, here in Sweden, where I'm working, um, social media has created this space where you would you consider that they have, in a way, allowed that to be the proxy for thinking for them.
I think that's one of the many proxies.
Mm.
All of us are given to becoming more quickly than we would like to admit, ideologically possessed. We are captivated by our gurus very quickly.
Yeah.
And because we haven't learned to think, well, there's some things we tend not to question because
Mm.
so and this and such has said this and that. And so we buy that because we trust people.
Yeah.
But we aren't given to, as we say between you and I, the joy of discovery and living life on the balls of our feet in anticipation for what we are about to discover next.
Mm.
And so we become quite static in our thinking, in our way of living, and the way we attack problems.
Right.
So predictable.
Mm.
And predictability, too much predictability brings us staleness
Mm.
and a lack of freshness. And I think you and I have always been given to, maybe more than most, do the thing differently, do the thing radically differently.
Yes.
And that's been fun
Yes,
because
it's
it's
been
allowed us to think beyond the box.
it's been filled with a great deal of risks, and I think that's maybe
Oh,
one of the
yep,
deterrents.
yep.
Risk is a fear-inducing reality, don't you think?
Yes, yes. I've just looked at some of my high risk insurances over the last week. And it says, with the high risk insurance, life insurance, you can't get the money out until you drop and then somebody else gets it,
Oy, oy, oy. Yeah.
right? Because it's called high risk
Yeah.
investment. And well, in our case, we've taken risks. We have always thought our risks were calculated.
Mm.
It's only proven at times to be whew, high risk.
Yes.
Losses have been great, I think, for you and for me,
Yeah.
and in different ways for each of us
Sure.
on opposite sides of the fence. You've
Right.
been uh, my description has always been I preach it and you practice it.
Yeah,
And
we've had
I've sometimes coveted that ability to be able to put feet to things. You
yes.
just have such a quick way to put four legs on an
Yeah.
idea, and there
And
the idea walks.
sure, I've in my situation, I think I've stumbled sometimes about just being clear about what actually moves this action. And I think that's the same thing for young people as well, as we're talking about them at the moment. It's the same thing. You need. I would say the same. You need these collaboratives. You need networks, and the likes of Sven and the likes of so many people this year that came forward and made and strengthened Learning Academy Worldwide's hand in producing the kind of support for young people in these rural settings. And so that's been our experience, and I think you and I, on a sort of personal level, have experienced that the kind of collaboratives that you and I have had, when we have leaned on each other's strengths and learned from them, and not sort of nail each other for what we cannot do or limitations, then we've made tremendous progress. And I think that context, um, that set of communities, have enabled us to be of assistance and help to others. My thanks, maybe at this particular point, goes for a lot of people that have in so many different ways, impacted what we do. And I'm just bringing up on the screen at the moment this gentleman, Andre de Lang, and I'm going to play a song from him right away, so that we can appreciate his music. And Andre and Sven particularly have been very, very, very helpful in the way that they've come alongside us. Do you value the strength that come through networking and partnerships, Terry?
I think they are crucial.
Mm,
I actually think we cannot live without them. The one who lives without them becomes an island. And no man is an island. We were not put together, we were not wired for alone living. We are wired for relating, even though our skills may be limited, but we can learn to relate in better and more meaningful ways. And that's why partnerships are so crucial. And I think sometimes we cut off relevant relationships
yeah.
that can be nurtured
Mm,
at great cost. At
sure.
cost. You see, we don't like the cost factor. We want to go into relationships that are easy and just move from one thing to the next.
Mm,
And I think even for you and I, as you've moved so far away, I mean, you didn't have my permission to do that. You didn't even ask me if you could do that. You just did it. And I think it's been great because it's really tested the relationship in different ways and at different levels,
sure. Sure.
so that even when there are times of, lower communication, we still are very mindful of each other and each other's worlds. Um, so I think reaching out into relationships and partnerships
Yeah.
has a cost factor: time, energy, thinking, freshness,
Mm,
creativity.
sure.
I mean, I hate at this stage of my life to be involved in relationships that are just so exhausting. They just take every inch out of you,
Yeah.
and it's a give and take.
Yes, it
I
is.
think at times
Absolutely.
it's more give than take, right?
Right. Yeah. No,
Um,
no, that is so, so very true.
mm,
And I do think that a guy like Andre de Lang, to say, in I would say in the last 2 years, having listened to his music, having interacted with him, it's dawned on me just again what a wonderful treasure he is himself and what he brings to a relationship, this strength, this heart, this capacity to see a need and then to articulate that, to see an aspiration and to articulate that in a song. And so let's listen to this particular song that I particularly enjoy. um, I'm alive.
There's a way that seems alright sometimes, but the end can be a trust lie in disguise. Had my share of bad choices, broken dreams, disappointments. Through it all, the makings of a man. As I look back on my life story, and I see where your love has brought me. Hallelujah, I'm alive. Hallelujah, I'm alive. Don't know what tomorrow brings. Shall not fret nor fear within. 'Cause I know on solid ground I stand. Will lift my hands up to the sky. I will shout 'cause I'm alive. I will dance like David did before. And I will not take life for granted. 'Cause now I'm living the life I've always wanted. Hallelujah. Yeah. I'm alive. I'm alive. Ooh, yeah. I'm alive. Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's precious. Hey, that's really precious. What do you make from of that song, Terry?
Oh, I've listened to it a number of times now,
Yeah,
and it's uh, uh, once you get to know the singer a
yeah,
lot better,
yeah,
it's amazing how it changes your perspective and your
yeah.
perception because you listen to it quite differently.
That's true. That is so
You
true.
become attentive to different things,
Yeah,
different realities
absolutely.
in that person's life.
Yeah, that's true. Let's reflect a little bit about of Learning Academy worldwide over the last year. Terry, do you, Terry Martin, myself, Kylie Jensen, and a gentleman called Leon October sit on the board for Learning Academy worldwide in South Africa, and we've been really, really encouraged by the kind of uh, momentum that this project's gained over the last year. Are there any sort of highlights that you can think about, Terry, or comments that you have that talks to the issue of the kind of momentum that we are in at the moment?
Well, just to see, where things have come
Mm,
from. If I take a look in the rearview mirror,
mm.
when we started in 2019, I mean, there was a whole history to 2019. It
Yes.
goes way back, of course, in our relationship. But if I look at 2019 and where we sit now, I mean, the momentum that this
Mm,
initiative has gathered and gained, particularly over the past year, has been wild.
mm,
It's been wild. We had always thought. I think you and I have always wrestled with this particular issue of being indigenous in our creativity.
yeah.
Not always be just pulling it in because it comes from the outside.
Mm,
It's Western, it's Eastern, it's Middle Eastern. But what about a local initiative that carries some of the marks and traits of uh, the culture that we are familiar with in the country? I think that is what has been a particular turn on for me.
mm,
And just the way the word has gotten out in terms of what we're doing.
mm.
And I think there are still many hills to climb and rivers to cross on that one because the
Absolutely.
exposure needs to go a lot more broadly,
Mm,
even in our own country.
sure.
Yep.
Yeah, that is true. And talking about our own country, we've had an opportunity in September this year to broadcast a little bit and talk a little bit about what we do in vocational training in agriculture. Let me just not bring that slide up now, but at the conference in Durban, we had a great opportunity. Terry, you shared in that as well. And there were some really robust discussions around it. Um, and in this instance, we had an opportunity to tell a little bit more about what we do um, in in South Africa in the vocational training and agriculture space. What was your takeaway from that conference for that time that you participated in, Terry?
Well, just the fact that we had a school that we had connected with
Mhm.
and that we brought into the orbit.
Yeah.
That was the Sonica high school
Yeah.
that has an agriculture project going on the school premises.
Mm.
So much so that they now have been given an extra piece of land by the local authorities,
Mm.
by the municipal authorities. Um, that has been a big one, and
Right.
they were represented at the conference and in our discussions on the panel.
Mm.
I think a lot of that discussion focused on the use of technology,
Yes.
the use of AI in agriculture, and that was fun. That was fun because we had some very knowledgeable individuals uh,
Yes.
pontificate on that panel, which was very
Absolutely.
helpful.
Yes.
And then locals like us just bringing a touch of landing the plane, bringing the whole issue down to sea level.
Yes.
You know, where we could talk about the nuts and bolts. And yeah, the way things are moving, the funding, there's been a great increase in the funding over the last
Oh,
while.
absolutely.
And,
Yeah,
and
that's true.
while we haven't even scratched the surface on that,
Mm.
I'm excited for where we are at. But now we need to move from here to
Yes.
the next mountain.
Right.
Yep.
Yes, that is so true. And reflecting on the new school's interest, the Sonneke High School in the Western Cape, I think it's a good illustration again of the fact that we do believe that there's great merit in us bringing other folks alongside us as we endeavor, with what we are busy with. One of the other issues, and I just wanted to bring this up here, and this is particularly relevant for a question that I have at the other end. We also met with Lillian Masabenza. Do you remember that, Terry? I'm not
I
so sure.
do. I
Yeah.
do.
So Lillian Masabenza is an entrepreneur. She is a leader. She is a ah I have no words. This lady is on top of everything, and she has worked for many, many years in the corporate sector, and have then proceeded to shift into the sort of upliftment field and sector. And what she's done is to provide um, urban farming solutions for various communities in the Western Cape. And one of the things that she's done is that she is secured funding to build this agro processing unit that she's managed to get funding for, got it deployed, and got it built. And what it does is gives young people, women, um, the opportunity to take produce and then do something different with it, and then take that to market. And one of the beauties of our collaboratives this last year has been that we've been able to connect with her, Terry, and this is what she presented at the summit. And I've had this beforehand, and so this is a cooler container, and as you can see, that completely modified and fitted on the inside to serve as this um, kitchen where all the processing can take place. And in the back end, everything is built with stainless steel. That's what it looks like on the outside. Um, there's a view of the sort of tabletop and basin area, and you can see just how sleek it's designed. What's your perception there, Terry? Observations of as this far?
I think this is such a wonderful idea, Theo. I know
Mm.
we had made contact with this idea a while ago, actually
Yes,
long before Lillian came into the orbit, right?
yes,
And kind of shelved it, and now it's back on the
yeah,
horizon. And we are looking obviously at generating the funding to build these and put them in strategic spaces
yes,
where our projects are running. I think that is the very crucial thing. So we have a real heads up, thumbs up to Lillian for being so innovative and
Oh yeah, absolutely.
bring a front runner. And when we
Yep.
connected, when you reconnected with her, I
Yes.
mean, this was right there. And so maybe you
Yeah.
want to chat about
Yeah.
some of the way forward. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that, of course, this is the back area where you can. This is the refrigeration side where you can actually store produce, for future use down the line. And that's a really, really precious, I think, and very special. And then there's another slide. Yeah, that's another view of the kitchen area. There's a stove in there. Um, but really a very, very practical way of coming up and designing an agro processing unit. Our aim is to have at least two of these deployed, maybe three if we can, in 2025. Because Learning Academy Worldwide's Agri Academy project is now in three locations. One is in George, the other one is in Harlem, where everything really started. That's all in the Western Cape, and then in another part of the country, a province called the Northern Cape, we have an additional satellite now with teachers and students there. But yeah, Terry, again, a sort of evidence of just the power of collaboration because people have ideas. And I've always been fascinated by the fact that people are doing incredible things in corners sometimes that you don't know of, you don't expect it. Is this a blind spot that we need to be more intentional about when we try to engage in upliftment projects?
I really think it has to do with paying attention,
Yes.
right? Attention changes your world and it changes the world.
Mm,
It is such a simple thing and yet such a complex issue. And we try to simplify it
mm,
into oblivion.
mm,
I think our posture needs to be attend well to what you see and what you hear and
mm,
always track ideas. Listen carefully for where you see glimpses of what people are doing that, in a sense, brings about synchronicity,
mm,
right? It
mm,
tends to ring true. It has resonance with us in terms of what we are doing.
mm.
Go after those ideas and track them down. You and I have often said, well, we don't think anybody is doing this or thinking this, only to be surprised out of our gourd that somebody has taken it maybe 2 or 3 steps further than where we are.
Absolutely.
And to live with that kind of anticipation. See, we don't live with that anticipation. We
Yeah,
always think
you're
we,
absolutely right.
these lonely Joes, you know,
Yeah,
deserted on an island,
yeah,
and we feel very sorry for ourselves for thinking the way we do.
yeah. You're absolutely right. No, I appreciate you raising that issue of paying attention because we have our own views as to what we think need to be done, the things that we consider are needed in a given community. But we do not sometimes start off finding out what in this community is already there, what's already um, strong, somebody put it, what's already there and what's already great. And I think um, it's a very, very good point you're making. You had, if I remember, three sort of guidelines. One was asking good questions if you want to exhibit or demonstrate that you're paying careful attention. What other sort of guidelines there, Terry, can one stay alert to?
Well, also listen to the questions that come from others.
Yes.
You ask questions because
Mm,
you are curious about things.
mm,
That doesn't solve the whole issue of getting to know what's really going down and
mm,
getting to know by encounter.
mm,
It's not just an acquaintance knowing, I know you, I know your name.
mm,
Theophilus van Rensburg, Lindzter, right?
Mm.
But it's because I'm encountering, like you encountered Lillian, and you went after her,
Mm.
so much so that you got her over to Durban.
Yeah.
And the school, Sonneke was over in Durban, and
Mm.
I came on the platform
Mm.
remotely
Mm.
in the Durban situation. And so I think listen carefully to the questions of others. And part of listening carefully has to do with understanding how you can decompose a question. We are
Yes.
so quick to answer questions as if that is our prime function,
Mm.
giving out answers, versus bringing people along with us and getting them to think step by step along with us so that they can discover those issues, solutions
Mm.
for themselves. Or a way forward. Let's not even use the word solutions, a way forward for
Yes,
themselves,
it's true. With
right?
the decomposing or the sort of analyzing those questions, I don't want to say analyze people's questions, but just does it include being concerned about why they ask what they ask, Terry?
Well, I think you are quite right. You are listening for how they are framing a question and why they are framing it that way.
Yes.
Because questions do not emanate in a vacuum.
No, they don't.
They come from somewhere. They have an origin in a particular kind of soil.
Absolutely.
And that seed germinates in that soil. And so when you look at the framing, what is the framing of that question? It could be my culture, it could be a crisis,
Mm.
it could be pain, it
Mm.
could be things I'm learning,
Mm.
or it could be things I'm loving
Mm.
that can fuel
Yeah.
questions. And become aware of that.
Mm.
I've thought about an illustration here. My dad had a 16 millimeter film strip projector.
Right.
And we used to watch silent movies. That was in the days of silent movies, black and white movies.
Yes.
And often these film strips would break, they would tear, the sprockets would split open,
Mm.
and the film would jump.
Mm.
And then what you need to do is you need to cut the two sections cleanly,
Mm.
and then you need to splice them.
Mm.
In other words, you glue them together with another piece of film strip, a transparent piece, and you splice them. And the
Mm.
splice is what bridges the gap.
Right.
And so I think a lot of how we encounter people in engaging with them around their questions is this splicing function, which is able to bridge the gap between their world and ours and our
Mm.
world and theirs.
Yep.
And asking questions is a way of doing that.
Mm.
And listening carefully to the kinds of questions that are coming up
Mm.
and asking questions about the questions.
Mm.
Now, why do you think that that question is significant?
Mm.
Well, just because I'm asking it. No, that's not true.
Mm. There is a
You're
motive.
asking it.
There's
There's
something that drives that.
something that's sparking that question.
I'm
And
thinking
to
of.
become connoisseurs of good questions, asking good questions. Yep.
If you've just tuned into any of the platforms, whether it's Facebook or you're joining us on LinkedIn or on Twitter, well, formerly Twitter, now X, or on Instagram, um, thank you for taking the time to be here. And of course, if you're listening at a later stage, you are welcome as well. And my name is Theophilus van Rensburg Lindzter, and I'm accompanied with by my colleague Terrence Martin. And we broadcast live from Stockholm. It's going to be a lot more regular now. We are in the fourth season, or the fourth chapter, so to speak, of promoting the work of Learning Academy Worldwide in South Africa. This work endeavors to provide young people in rural settings largely set of knowledge, set of skills based on knowledge that they acquire through a vocational training program that we hope will lead to three things at least. Number one, they become employable, get a job, be productive, but also maybe innovatively start their own business. And thirdly, as some of our previous students have done, continue to study. They felt that they would love to deepen their knowledge. And this project enabled us to provide the kind of ecosystem where young people can come in and, in a bridging way, take a step toward agriculture as a career path. So, thank you for spending your time with us. Terry, you were just mentioning this, the need for us to others. I was thinking of this song of Andre de Lang, that in a way captures part of that, because he says, "This is my music." I want to just say something about this song. Um, Living in Sweden, if you come from another part of the world, especially if you come from the south, it's very, very different. You come into a new culture, you come into a new environment, new weather, new conditions, new habits, new ways of living, and you find yourself sometimes um, sort of ousted, or maybe ostracized sometimes. But Andre has, in this particular song, shown just how valuable it is to think of what you are as not just something that you have to fit into. So as you listen to the song, it talks about just this new exchange with a different culture. And it's really valuable. And that shift, that change brings a new challenge. Can you still sing your song in the midst of that?
Do 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 do. Oh. The spirit as it moves to sing the melody opens up her wings, the pulse that fills my life with its beating. Yeah, a baby sigh can shape the tune. There's poetry in the silver moon, the midnight views of the sweetest June. This is my music, my song finds me when I'm all alone. In the silence of my home, the yearning that's inside of me. This is my music, my song finds me when I'm all alone. In the silence of my home, the yearning that's inside of me makes me sing. Hey. The bird that flies from the south today, its song brings back the African sway, fills my heart with its longing, passion burning deep inside, like fire burning through the night, brings hope and meaning. This is my music, my song, finds me when I'm all alone. In the silence of my home, the yearning that's inside of me. This is my music, my song, finds me when I'm all alone. In the silence of my home, the yearning that's inside of me makes me sing. Oh, makes me sing. Makes me sing. Oh, makes me sing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, music, my song, finds me when I'm all alone. In the silence of my home, getting that inside of me makes it.
That's precious, Terry. Is
Yes.
how you use music, and in this case, potentially as we think through questions, answering the question of belonging, or a question of making your statement in the world, is a question. Is there a statement in a question also that we sometimes ask?
I think most times there are.
Mm.
We state them as propositions.
Yeah.
We use these sentences, we use these slogans to get a message across. The
Right.
danger of that is that we're thinking inside a frame
Mm,
that we have to be careful of. A frame of thinking is helpful for the moment,
mm,
right? But to always frame the thing in only one way from one perspective is quite dangerous.
mm.
That's why we need to be given to multi perspectivity.
Sure.
And relationships and partnerships bring multi perspectival frames to the table.
Yeah.
And as we talk through it, we find we become more unified
Mm,
because we are discovering things together. And we are given to a process of discovery around which we unite.
mm.
And I think that's where the genius lay of pursuing relationships.
Absolutely.
When you pursue truth together.
Sure.
Now, of course, we go into that whole discussion. What is truth?
Yes.
Oh,
We can.
I love the discussion
I
because
know.
it really has to do with what we are doing here,
Yeah.
not just on radio, but what is happening in the agriculture space.
Sure. And I like when you and I talk often. We talk about reality, that which is real, and so both of those we can certainly integrate. And I appreciate the fact that we are talking about this in the context of the work that we do, because it's not just making sure that someone has a job. It's not just making sure that they can actually create a job for themselves or continuing to study if they so desire. It's also to strengthen the appreciation for what it is that truly drives you. What are the questions that really, really keep you up at night? And what are the burdens that you're really wrestling with? Where are you going? What are you really after? And so I've appreciated that we've had that angle. Before we go, I would like to just give you an opportunity for those of you who are listening in. You can see that we've got a little slide up here to donate to what we do. Terry was mentioning earlier that we would been so blessed to be supported, especially this year. We've had fantastic people, and I want to mention her name here now. Iona Birkus this particular year has been such a bright light in support of Everything Learning Academy worldwide, and her efforts and her hard work in getting folks to give toward making a difference in somebody else's life has been an absolute gem. Would you say, Terry?
It's been a great investment into what we do, into our
Mm.
lives, and what we do, and the lives of others,
Sure. Yeah.
particularly our young people. And she was tirelessly involved with us.
Mm.
We miss what she has been so sharp at doing, even
Yeah,
though things
absolutely.
have shifted for them, for her, and for us.
Sure.
But a big thanks to what she's been doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you find that you have an opportunity or desire to support what we do, there's that quick response code, and you can find a moment to truly make a difference. It's not just words. You're really making a difference in people's lives, and we are excited to continue this conversation with you, Terry. I'm going to be signing off here, and I hope that you're going to have a fantastic last few hours and days with your family. Before I've got to say something else here before we go, because today is a rather special day in Sweden. I don't know if you know, the 13th of December.
No, I
Uh,
just know
it-
about Friday the 13th, but not
no,
the 13th of December in
no.
Sweden.
In Sweden, the 13th of December is called Lucia, and it is a day where there's a lot of singing. People can Google that from themselves and finding out what does Lucia mean. It has its origin in Italy, and it is this dame that brings light in the midst of darkness. It's quite dark in Sweden. It gets dark very quickly. In fact, in the northern part of Sweden, there's no daylight for 2 or up to maybe 3 months a year, and so that's really hard. Uh, this Lucia, the 13th, there's a lot of singing. There's a lot of eating of special kinds of cakes and delicacies. I actually got one here, and I'll just put this up here. Terry, there you are.
I'll
Mm.
have all three, man.
You'll-
Please send it.
yeah.
Use
Uh,
your 3D printer. I print it out this side. Okay.
excuse me. Sorry, pardon. Um, and there's lovely singing. And this morning, in fact, I was part of a group of young people at our school because they're singing at school. They have what is called the Lucia Tog. That's a sort of where young people who practice this specific songs that they sing at this time. Beautiful music. And they sort of walk through the school, and the other students appreciate their talent and the reminder of the darkness is temporary. The light's going to come soon. Soon the darkness will be over. Um, and some traditional sort of Christmas songs. And at our school, I was very, very honored to do this today. And this happens all over Sweden on this day. It happens in churches, different organizations, in public spaces, even though it's -7 outside.
I'm tempted to say wonderful, but it's not wonderful.
But
Uh,
it's quite precious. It's a beautiful part. That's a little bit about Swedish tradition. But if you Google, I think I saw a video called Lucia, Swedish Lucia for Dummies, something like that. It's just very easily traceable. Um,
okay.
but yeah, thank you so very, very much for your time this evening, Terry, and
You're welcome, Theo.
for listeners who are joining us and viewers. We appreciate you spending your time with us today. It means a lot to us that you are here, and we trust that you'll find a moment to return to continue to support what we do, but also find a moment to maybe share some of your experiences. The next time around, we are speaking about vocational training in agriculture, not just in South Africa, but also in urban settings in Sweden. More about that at a later stage. Terry and I will constantly talk about some of the ideas in life that we think are crucial to wrestle with mentally, put our thinking caps on. We both view that as a very, very important challenge to lay in front of you and before you. So thank you so very, very much for joining us. Terry, thanks for your time again, brother.
You're welcome, Theo.
Take care. Good night, because you are at 10 to 9 already. Am I correct?
10 to
Yes.
9.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
You take good care. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Good night.
Such a treasure. You know, somebody told me love is all in the mind. So don't ever waste your precious life and time. You're a special lady, so maybe you am the one. Thank God above. Should this be love? Sweet love, such a treasure. I found the one I'm looking for.